Good evening, fellow Puckheads, and welcome back to the Clear the Ice, a Flyers post-game show here on the Edge of Philly Sports with your boy, Matty B. Coming at you a little later than the game that played out last night at the Wells Fargo Center. The Flyers, 2-0 winners over the Vancouver Canucks in their home opener. And, kind of settling things down a little bit from the Saturday, disaster up there in Ottawa. But the Flyers came out, and Vancouver's a good team. They're not upper crust, they're not a Stanley Cup contender, but they're not a bottom feeder either. So this was going to be an interesting game, I think, for a lot of people. Obviously, the home opener, it has so much more meaning. When you start a new season, everything is forgiven. New Year of Orange and all that, and they get things rolling at the center, and they come out hot. They had a great game from Carter Hart. Igor Zamula with his first career NHL goal, and then Sean Couturier kind of setting the night off with the penalty shot goal. First one of his career, by the way, as the Flyers were able to handle their business on last night, 2-0. You start the season or you start your home opener with a win and you get a shutout to boot. It's really, what else can you ask for, especially in the situation that the Flyers find themselves in? And, of course, heading into that game last night, there was some, mediocrity drama happening with the Flyers and Morgan Frost being a healthy scratch and appearing not too happy about it during the pregame intros as he was standing there on the bench in a suit. Not looking like he was thrilled to death about being there or not being in uniform and playing. But I said this on my show. The bottom line is this: if a player does not perform well, especially when you're with a team like the Flyers are this year, when there's no real super egos on this team you have to stroke. There's no real superstars on this team that you have to kind of placate to. It's going to be a bunch of guys who are begging and scratching and clawing their way to some, valid playing time. And if Morgan Frost is not performing for whatever reason, there's a rumor out there, there's some inclinations are going on that John Tortorella has it in for Morgan Frost, that he's the new whipping boy, I guess, so to speak. But I think John Tortorella just sees more potential within Morgan Frost, and he's trying to bring it out of him. But anyway, Morgan Frost was a healthy scratch based on his playing over the last couple of games, and I'm sure Morgan wasn't happy. But again, when you're in a situation that the Flyers are in 2023-24, there is no room for that. These are young players. Everybody on this team, 90% of the players on this team that are trying to vie for positions of the future are going to have to be kind of subject to this. So Morgan Frost was the healthy scratch. Sean Couturier was a game time decision heading into the game as he was dealing with an injury he sustained in Ottawa. But thankfully to the Flyers and everybody else, he was given the opportunity to play, and of course it paid off in a big way as Couturier, returning from that injury that he suffered, was gone for the last couple seasons. Looked really that was just a beautiful penalty shot goal. He comes in. I guess the new thing in the NHL this year, I've noticed I've seen a couple penalty shots already, which, first of all, the fact that we're like a week into the season and there's been multiple penalty shots thus far is an interesting fact too. But the two that I've seen were very interesting approaches to it. Both forwards or both players, attacking players, come in real slow and kind of almost like try to lull the goalie to sleep before making a move and firing into the net. But interesting technique that I've noticed this season so far with penalty shots with the Flyers. And Sean Couturier, beautiful goal. Carter Hart backs him up with 25 saves. A strong game for Carter Hart, but I think a stronger game for the defense that played in front of Carter Hart. I'm not the biggest Carter Hart guy going, but I got to give him credit where credit's due. But the defense played pretty good in front of him. Again, when you only give up 25 shots in a game, it's very manageable. That's very manageable for an NHL goalie. And Carter Hart stood the test and gets the shutout for the home opener. And I mentioned Igor Zamula with the first goal, hopefully of many more to come. And we'll see. We'll see as this thing kind of progresses. But the Flyers 2-0 winners over the Vancouver Canucks last night at the Wells Fargo Center. And David King, welcome to the show, David. Do I think the Atlanta, Georgia is going to get an NHL team? What, for the third time? I don't know how many more times you got to see something that and to see that it doesn't work. The Atlanta Flames back in the day didn't work. They moved to Calgary. The Atlanta Thrashers didn't work. They moved to Winnipeg and became the Winnipeg Jets again. So I don't know. I would prefer actually some other venues than Atlanta. I'm not really certain. I want to see Quebec get their team back, for God's sakes. I want to see the Nordiques back in the league before I see another team down there in Atlanta. But if I think to answer your question, I do not think that Atlanta, Georgia should get a team. Now, whether or not they do or not, that's up to the powers that be and the people with the money. But no, I don't think they should get one. But let's head over to the box score and look at some of the things that went down last night. As I mentioned, the Flyers, all the goal scoring was done in the first period as the Flyers scored 2 goals. Zamula was the first, and then Sean Couturier on the penalty shot there at the end of the period. And then the Flyers stood on their head for the rest of the way. For the game, the Flyers outshot Vancouver 42-26. The Flyers had 4 power play opportunities on the night, and they continued to struggle on the power play as they went 0 for 4. The Canucks had 3 power plays. They were 0 for 3. And, but hey, listen, it's an aspect of the game of the Flyers that really needs some addressing. So far, early on here in this season, the Flyers have gone a putrid 1 for 13 on the power play. That, if you're doing the math at home, it's about 8% effective. So, and this is obviously something that the Flyers struggled with last year. They were 35 for 221 on the power play last season for about 15%. And then since the 2021-22 season, the Flyers are 64 for 467 on the power play, which is not even at 14%. So definitely an area of the game that needs to be addressed. And I'm not certain the Flyers have that type of talent to address it right now on this team. And I think living with a bad power play might be a product of living with this rebuild until the Flyers can get some high-end goal scorers here. I think this is kind of what you're going to see from them on the power play. And it's a shame because if you factor in an effective power play, and when I mean effective, I mean at the 20 percentile range that the NHL looks at effective power plays. And they judge a power play's effectiveness about 20%. The Flyers could just be at 20% effective. It would probably result in a lot more wins. But 1 for 13 so far on this season on the power play as the Flyers they were able to win the game 2-0 last night against the Vancouver Canucks, and then set up their next game, which will be tomorrow night at the Center against the Edmonton Oilers, as this young season has officially begun around the National Hockey League. And let's take a look at what went down last night in the NHL. And again, we normally come at you post game. But because of the situation with the Phillies, things are getting shifted around. But the Minnesota Wild last night beat the Canadiens 5-2. Sabres over the Lightning 3-2. Islanders over the Coyotes 1-0. The Edmonton Oilers, who are, of course, on their way next, big time over the Nashville Predators 6-1. Of course, Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl, headliners for that team. LA over the Jets 5-1. The Avalanche 4-1 over the Kraken. The defending Stanley Cup champion Golden Knights defeat the Stars 3-2, and the Hurricanes over the Sharks 6-3. That was your night last night in the National Hockey League. Tonight, there's only 2 games on the slate. Washington's in Ottawa, and Pittsburgh is in Detroit. So there you have it. Flyers 2-0 winners over the Vancouver Canucks. 2-1-0 now on the young season as things are officially underway. And I know it seems a little bit a lot, I guess, as what we're dealing with here right now with the Phillies and the Eagles, and then they got the Flyers working their way into this, and then the Sixers next week. I mean, this is that time of the year where it all converges into 1 month. But we're gonna not let this go. We have a responsibility here on Clear the Ice, and we're gonna bring you the best Flyer post game coverage that we possibly can. But we're gonna have to navigate some things in order to do that. So just be patient with us as we get through this month. And obviously the eye on the prize here for the Flyers, or for the Phillies, is is a World Series championship. So be patient with us. But here's the the schedule here on EOP for the week. I am kind of leading off here on Wednesday. Tonight you got some Philly Press Box Radio and then EOP Live, the flagship show, returning for its live time slot. As of course no Phillies game tonight. Tomorrow, the fight is final. We're going to actually do the Clear the Ice show tomorrow as well, because the final is going to be a little earlier due to the time of the game in Arizona, and then attacking third as well. So, and everything else that's going on on the edge of Philly sports horizon. Don't forget, if you're in the Ridley Park area of Delco, 24 East Hours Ave, stop by Dolan's for some Quizzo music, great times, memorabilia giveaways, and you have no clue, or you really don't know who might walk through the door. And if you're looking for playoff tickets for the Phillies, and more importantly, if you're looking for Flyers tickets, look no further than SharksTickets.com. No hidden prices and no hidden fees, no hidden fees and great prices at www.SharksTickets.com. Family owned and operated since 1946. Save additional 10% when you enter the promo code EOP10 and hurry over to Sharries now. And don't forget, Philly Sports Trips already starting to kind of set the landscape for next season. They got a trip heading out to London in June to catch the Phillies and the Mets and everything else that's going on in with Philly Sports Trips. Don't forget this one here, the Red October Tailgate Takeover in Phoenix on the 20th on Friday. About was a short walk from the stadium at the Deuce. So head out there, get on the Philly Sports Trips right now while you can, while supplies last, I guess. And then if we're workman's compensation, motor vehicle accident, personal injury, and criminal law, Dave Cherry at 610-565-0300 for all those needs and more. And he'll do his damnedest for you. Before we go tonight, we're gonna do another segment here on the show. At least when I'm hosting, I have the pleasure of working with Pat, Mike, and Big Al as well. But when I am here, I am always looking at the future, at this team, at the players that might be entering the National Hockey League next season and beyond. And for those of you who don't know, I did an article a few weeks back on the potential draft prospects of 2024. There are no Connor Bednards in this group, but it's definitely going to be a good group. And, we can't sit there in the past. Connor's gone. We need to look towards the future. And I've singled out 3 players that are going to be drafted next summer. And we're going to be keeping an eye on these 3 players, because these 3 players could definitely help the Philadelphia Flyers going forward into the future. And those 3 players are Macklin Celebrini, of currently a center for Boston University, Cole Eiserman, a left wing, splits his time between the National Team Development Program, which resides within the USHL, and the United States National Team, and Sam Dickinson, a left-handed defenseman who currently plays for the London Knights of the Ontario Hockey League up there in the CHL. These 3 players really are kind of what I look at as, I think Celebrini and Eisner will be the first 2 forwards off the board, and then Dickinson should be that first defenseman. Maybe Celebrini might be more of the consensus first overall pick next season, so he probably won't be available if the Flyers. I don't think the Flyers pick it first, but and Eiserman probably won't make it to where the Flyers are too. But Dickinson will definitely be there. But we're going to be keeping an eye on all 3 of these players this season for you, because I think all 3 of them have a very unique talent, skill set. Celebrini is NHL ready now. Eiserman, I'd say he is, and Dickinson probably will spend another year in junior hockey before coming over or playing for a pro team. But so far in this season, Celebrini has played 2 games. He has got 3 goals and assists, 4 points, no penalty minutes, and he's a +2. Eiserman, as I mentioned, the left wing, splits his time between the NTDP, which is in the USHL, and the U.S. national team. He's played 14 games between those 2 teams so far this season. It has 22 goals, 6 assists for 28 points, and a +24, no penalty minutes. And Sam Dickinson, who, again, we're going to be blue line seems to be the priority here for the Flyers. Really looking at this kid to be in orange and black next season. 8 games so far this season for the London Knights, 3 goals, 6 assists for 9 points. He's got 4 penalty minutes, and he's a +7. So we'll be keeping an eye on those 3 individuals as we move forward through this season. And if you want to see the other, I profiled about 32 players. It's on the EOP website. Go look for it. It's a great article. I had fun writing it. So Listen, that's going to wrap me up tonight for Clear the Ice. Fast and Furious post-game show, Flyers Canucks. Flyers 2-0 winners over the Canucks on their home opener in front of the hometown faithful. The shutout, Carter Hart, 25 saves. Igor Zamula with his first NHL career goal, and Sean Couturier with the very pretty penalty shot goal, his first of his career. Until we talk again tomorrow night, and I'm not really certain if it's me, it's one of us. I don't think it is me. But until we talk again tomorrow night, from the immortal words of Gene Hart, good night and good hockey.